First of all, thanks for coming in. In relation to your the Ukraine fund and for business that was affected, what was your budget and how much of it has been spent?
The total budget, Deputy, I don't have the number in front of me here. That was fully allocated by government. It wasn't just to Enterprise Ireland; it was across all of the state agencies. So I'm not sure exactly what the total amount allocated, but it was quite a significant sum, if I recall.
Because a lot of companies were 6 months dealing with Enterprise Ireland, and there was no go-ahead given. Isn't that correct? They couldn't put in an application.
There was we processed applications. The scheme opened in again the middle of 2022, and we did process a number of applications before Christmas. And there was a number of approvals for companies before Christmas, including some companies from the food sector. It wasn't just open to the food sector; it was open to other sectors. Since Christmas, we have also had a number.
Which was March when the real go-ahead was given of this year.
No. The scheme was open last year, and
it opened.
And well, there were approvals last year, Deputy, as well. Yeah, under the Ukraine energy scheme. There was revisions made to the scheme at European level, which meant
I'm talking about the loan scheme.
Sorry.
Where you could borrow money, where you could.
Okay. I think we might be talking across purposes here. I was talking about the Ukraine energy support scheme, which is a grant-aided scheme, a subsidy scheme in respect of energy costs.
Yeah, what I'm talking about is the loan scheme where companies that was exporting food products could get 500,000 or 250.
Did you give of loan finance.
You were involved in it.
Yeah, again, Deputy, sorry, I don't have the numbers in front of me there in respect to that scheme, and I'm not familiar enough with it to comment on what level of support is provided.
Right, when you say, you talked about, say, China being a new market or whatever, what's your input in it? Is that you give grants for different machinery in the factories, or do you go out with Board B to the different places?
So if you take the best example, which we reference in our statement, is the capital investment scheme. So the capital investment scheme, as I said, as Jared said a minute ago, we've approved 34 projects. It'll be 100 million of approvals. What that really was around was the investment by companies in new processing equipment, and like, so for example, blast freezing capability, for example, which was designed so that you were instead of taking fresh product, you were taking frozen product. And what that was doing is potentially opening up the new markets. So in assessing the applications that came in under that scheme, what we were doing is working jointly with Board B to see, is there a market for the company? What was the investment that was needed in terms of the capital equipment to enable that market to be realised? And obviously then taking account of the potential climate or sustainability criteria as well.
Well, do you know on the foreign missions that we go on for trade, do you go on them?
We do, yeah. We support Board B in respect to the food sector. They're typically led by the Department of Food, Agriculture and Marine and Board B, but we will join and support them as much as
What's your part in it?
Oh, well, we've two roles. So one is to I suppose understand what's happening in the marketplace and the type of investment that we think is going to be needed, including the type of investment in R&D. But the second remit we have, Deputy, is we're responsible for the food FDI mandate rests with Enterprise Ireland as well. So that's attracting overseas food companies to ideally invest in Ireland. Similar to what the IDA do across other sectors, we do it for food. So in the recent trade mission to China, for example, which we participated in, we had a number of meetings with a number of potential FDI clients, but I also met with some Irish companies out there to understand the level of innovation that's required to exploit those markets and the level of investment that they're making in terms of their capital and other equipment.
And do you find that, say our meat factories that basically it's them that send it out to meat, they do their own thing. A lot of them take their own stands, they don't even bother with you. They might get capital grants off you, but they mightn't, when it comes to selling the food on the different stands, that they take their own stand as well.
Well, again, the stands and participation at trade shows and events in respect of the food trade missions is organised and coordinated by Borbia. We do the same exercise for other sectors. My experience has been, and my insight has been, that the companies are present. They I suppose operate under the flag, the flag, the Irish flag as it's there, collaborate, but they obviously present their own wares and have their own stands, and which makes perfect sense, and meet their own potential customers.
I noticed in the transport sector, foods and beverages and all that, different equipment, that some companies are able to be Enterprise Ireland customers and others aren't approved. Why that?
So again, the mandate from an Enterprise Ireland perspective is it's either manufacturing internationally traded services and it's
logistics and all that is part of it.
Yeah, it doesn't typically fall in under the mandate of Enterprise Ireland. Now again, it depends on what the company is and what the services that's being provided. We don't fund directly transport companies, for example. So it's manufacturing internationally traded services. With that export potential, but again, we're always open to looking at is there a basis for which we can support a company in a particular sector without, obviously we have to make sure we're not distorting the market here or in any way interfering in the domestic market.
You spoke there about Australia and New Zealand and companies like that, or places like that, say under market pressures. Do ye forecast, or is it Borbia that does all that side of it?
Forecast, Borbia do all the market forecasting on food is done by Borbia.
And in relation to, say, and Paul would have spoke about earlier, marketing, say milk products, say, be it sheep or goats. I presume your goats are near to yours you'll get. Have we Irish companies that you're liaising with in the relation to cheeses and goat's milk, sheep milk in exporting it?
Well, we're supporting any of a number of the processors, like any of the big dairy processors we're supporting, obviously are in cheese production. George, you might comment.
Well, do you go into, yeah, I know that the big processors, but the big processors are like, we'll put it this way, in Ireland at the moment for organic milk, just say if you want to do organic milk, we don't have the drying facility. Wouldn't that be fair to say, Chairman? Have you looked at that? Because we know that Germany is a fairly good market, or supposed to be, for organic stuff. Have you got in with any of the processes and say, hey guys, we'll actually support the infrastructure for the drying, because there's fair money involved, and you know, no more than when Dublin started, it was a small city, it's a big city now. And the same way in the organic milk, because we would have spoke to some of the processors, and if you look at sheep or if you look at goats, yeah, you can go to the big processor and they'll give you the usual average price, and then there are people that specialise in it, that'll be small, that mightn't have the 10 or 11 workers, but are given a good price to the farmer, aren't up there yet. Like, you talk about Leo on that. Sure, it's pittance money what they'll get that way if they're trying to export their stuff. Why don't you try it? What's this rule of ideally 10? Like, someone started off one day and they got an idea and they started off in a shed doing something, and they built it and built it and built it, and they might have 1,000. I saw a company one day, I went off with them, and they had a jeep and a few shovels, and they had a few bits. Now they have 1,000 workers working for them. And what I'm saying is, why is there like you mentioned it earlier on, over 10 or something, why is there that type of a threshold when we're looking at markets that may need a significant injection? Like, I'm talking about the organic milk. Not every farmer in Ireland is going to go at it, first of all. If you go to the conventional places, they will give you 60 cents. You might get way more in a small place that's making cheeses or doing something different. Do you look at that at all? Absolutely. Or is it just the big guys?
No, it's not just the big guys, and the 10 isn't a barrier to us supporting a startup company.
Right,
Just to make that really clear, and I think it goes back to the comment that I hopefully got across in discussing with the senator earlier on. It's not about, the 10 isn't a barrier. If a processor was to come, a new processor was to say, we're going to process sheep milk, or we're going to goat milk, and we're going to turn it into cheese, or or there's some other product we feel, and we're going to try and sell it, even on the domestic market initially, but then look at Germany or wherever else, we will be very, very open to support them. What we can't support, because the remit doesn't permit us, is the primary production. So the on-farm activity. So it's not that they have to go to one of the major processors that we currently have. If a new processor was to establish themselves with a plan, a credible business plan to process milk from sheep or goat, we would be very interested in talking. Or organic, absolutely. We will be very, very open to talking to them. And the supports are available in the form I described earlier on, which are capital supports, R&D, whatever the most appropriate support is. That's the business we're in.
And do you get involved, say, this morning we hear the news that, and I know it's different, but the likes of the Dutch yesterday voted that they're banning imports of calves. Do you get involved straight away in something to see where we get new markets, or is it Board B that does that?
Again, the primary work around the establishment of new markets are the kind of movement of livestock or that would be the Department of Food and Agriculture and Board B. That's primarily their role. What I suppose we're looking at, if you like, the bigger picture in respect of markets. It wouldn't be specifically what we would.
But you are open, just to be clear in my head, like I've talked to a lot of farmers that have been doing organic milk.
Yes.
And they were looking, they'd be saying to themselves that it goes into the same place every other bit, right? In a lot of cases. Not everywhere, but in a lot of cases. That if they were to have their own small set-up co-op or whatever, you're open to looking at dryers and stuff to progress that market if they put a credible business plan forward.
100%. Yeah.
Okay, that's grand. And is there, on the sheep, have you any workings or have you any research done in collaboration with Board B on the sheep's wool? It's a big problem.
I don't have any information on sheep's wool, Deputy. Apologies, sorry, I don't know enough about it.
Okay.
To comment on.
All right.
Is there a problem, or in terms of?
Well, like sheep's wool the problem is that it's worth nothing. It's worthless. It's worthless. It costs more to shear it than it does to what the wool you get for it, and we're just wondering, like, would there be research being done that we could? And I know you can't do that research, but I'm just wondering, were you collaborating with the likes of Board B or the Department of Agriculture in research for insulation, where you might have to put money into it for buying gear for it, or some other product that may put a sort of a foundation under the price of the sheep's wool?
Again, in terms of if there was an entity or an organisation looking at conducting research into the byproduct that is wool and how it might be utilised and value to be extracted from it, I think we'd be very interested to talk to them and to see if we can support it, or what supports would be available to us, through us, or whether it's through one of the third level institutes that we collaborate with. So I think anything that's around innovation, R&D, the development of new technology and potentially new products, and particularly in the context of the circular economy and what we're trying to do in respect to sustainability, we should be very open to discussing it. So we might not be the direct funder, but we definitely would be hopefully helpful to point somebody in the right direction.
Look, thanks very much.